Welcome to this explainer. If you're tuning in today, chances are you know exactly how deeply exhausting it feels to be trapped in a cycle of constant, uncontrollable anxiety. It's that heavy, sinking feeling where your mind is just spinning, right? Jumping from one hypothetical disaster to the next. It's completely draining. It pulls you right out of the present moment, and honestly, it can feel like your own brain is holding you hostage. Well, I see you, and your exhaustion is incredibly valid. So today, we're going to walk through a highly practical, evidence-based method to help you break that cycle once and for all and take your mind back. We really have to start by acknowledging what chronic worry actually does to us. It literally drains our mental and physical energy. But here's the kind of tricky part about the anxious mind. It uses worry as a false protective shield. For a lot of us, worrying feels like we're doing something productive, doesn't it? It feels like a shield against uncertainty or even painful memories. Subconsciously, we're thinking, well, if I worry about this bad thing enough, maybe I can prevent it. Or if I expect the absolute worst, I won't be caught off guard. But that shield? It's a total illusion. And dragging it around all day is exactly what's making you so utterly exhausted. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that 85% of the things we worry about never actually happen. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. We are burning through our daily energy reserves for scenarios that have an 85% failure rate of ever coming true. And the clinical research goes even further to show that for the 15% of worries that do actually happen, people end up coping with them way better than they expected to. You are far more resilient than your anxiety is letting you believe. Section 1, the pink elephant paradox. Let's look at why standard thought suppression completely fails. Okay, I have a fun little challenge for you. Look at this incredibly cute pink elephant. For the next few seconds, whatever you do, absolutely do not think about this pink elephant. Don't think about its huge ears, don't think about its little trunk, just clear it completely from your mind. So how'd you do? I'm guessing that little pink elephant is literally the only thing you can picture right now. And this perfectly illustrates the absolute futility of thought suppression. When we tell an anxious brain specifically not to think about something, it just puts a massive spotlight right on it. When you try to suppress a thought, it rebounds. It comes back stronger. You tell yourself, don't worry about that work email. And suddenly, your heart rate spikes and you're locked into this miserable cycle of physical anxiety. It's a trap. So the alternative we're exploring today is worry postponement. Instead of fighting the thought, you acknowledge it and then gently delay it. Because you aren't fighting it, the immediate emotional intensity and that awful physical spike in your chest are allowed to naturally decline. You aren't suppressing anything, you're simply hitting pause. Section 2, the counterintuitive solution. It's time to schedule your worry time. This technique is called worry postponement or stimulus-controlled training. It was first introduced by clinical researcher Dr. Thomas Borkovich way back in 1983. And I want to assure you right now, this is not just some trendy life hack or a cute motivational quote. This is a highly practical, scientifically backed clinical tool used in cognitive behavioral therapy to treat generalized anxiety disorder. By restricting your worry to a single, highly structured daily interval, you actually weaken the conditioned links that trigger your anxiety all day long. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the actual protocol. How do we build this framework into our daily lives? Well, it happens in 3 distinct steps. First, we postpone. We firmly halt immediate engagement with the worry during the day. Second, we contain. We allow ourselves to fully engage with those worries, but only during a strict 15 to 30-minute scheduled window. And finally, we review. We evaluate the worries, see what actually needs solving, and let the rest go. Section 3, your daily worry window. Setting strict boundaries to build this habit today. An anxious brain absolutely thrives on concrete instructions. When a worry pops into your head while you're working or making lunch or driving, I want you to use this exact microscript. Say to yourself, I noticed this worry. I will save it for my 5:30 p.m. worry window. You acknowledge the thought, so there's no pink elephant paradox here, but you explicitly give it an appointment for later. Jot it down on a notepad or on your phone, and then gently return your focus to whatever you were doing in the present moment. Now, to make this work, you need very strict boundaries for your worry window. It should be a maximum of 15 to 30 minutes, never ever longer. It should happen at the exact same time every day. And here is a really crucial one. Do it somewhere slightly uncomfortable, like a hard dining chair. Never do your worry time in bed or on your cozy sofa. We absolutely do not want to teach your brain to associate your safe places of rest with high anxiety. Oh, and if you want to make this a bit more fun, especially if you're a visual person or doing this with kids, you can even decorate a little kawaii worry box to drop your written notes into throughout the day. And this brilliantly illustrates the mindset shift required here. You absolutely do want to write down your worries, but you don't want to analyze them outside of your scheduled window. And crucially, Praise yourself for postponing and never measure your success by the absence of worry. Listen to me on this one. Your goal today is not to have zero anxious thoughts. That's literally impossible. Success means you capture the worry on paper and you delete it. That is a massive, massive victory for an anxious brain. Section 4. What is in your control? Categorizing your worries once the alarm goes off. So you've been postponing all day, and your 5:30 p.m. alarm just went off. What happens now? Well, we use a simple worry filter. You look at the very first worry you wrote down at, say, 10 a.m., you ask yourself, is this in my control? If yes, you plan. If no, you let it go. Honestly, you'll often find that by 5:30 p.m., the intense urgency of a worry you had hours ago has completely faded, and letting it go is surprisingly easy. But for the ones that stick around, we need to categorize them. We categorize them into two specific buckets: real event worries and hypothetical worries. Real event worries are immediate existing problems, like my car is making a weird rattling noise. For these, you use your worry window to make a concrete step-by-step plan, like actually calling the mechanic. Hypothetical worries, on the other hand, are those future-oriented what-if scenarios. What if I get fired next year? You can't solve that today. So for hypothetical worries, your practice during the window is to accept the uncertainty. You literally practice saying to yourself, maybe that will happen, and if it does, I'll handle it then. Section 5. Reclaiming your time. Leaving the worry behind. Now, if you're sitting there doubting whether such a simple boundary can actually work, consider this. A massive meta-analysis of 999 participants across multiple studies proved that this exact simple practice of worry postponement significantly reduces both the duration and the frequency of daily worry. It literally reduces subjective health complaints and physical anxiety symptoms. It acts as a proven circuit breaker for your overloaded nervous system. So the crucial point is this: the goal isn't the absence of worry, but the presence of control. Worrying is a completely normal human experience. You are always going to have worries, but you don't have to let them dictate your entire day anymore. You now have the power, the tools, and the framework to choose when those worries get your attention. Just think about how much mental real estate and physical energy your anxiety has been consuming lately. As you practice this postponement protocol, you're going to get those hours back. You're going to get your focus back. So I want to leave you with this one question to really think about today. What will you do with all the time and energy you used to spend worrying? You have the power to reclaim your day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I wish you all the absolute best as you put this into practice.